The planet Sera, once a jewel of civilization, had become a graveyard. Decades of endless war between humanity and the Locust Horde had reduced its cities to rubble and its skies to a perpetual haze of ash and smoke. The conflict was unrelenting, a cycle of destruction that seemed to have no end. It was this chaos, this unending carnage, that drew the attention of a far more ancient and deadly force, the Dark Blade Clan. The Dark Blade Clan was a brotherhood of elite predators, warriors from a distant star system who thrived on conquest and challenge. They were not conquerors in the traditional sense. They did not seek to rule or enslave. Instead, they were hunters, drawn to worlds where war and chaos reigned. They sought worthy adversaries, foes who could test their skills and satiate their thirst for battle. When they arrived on Sera, they were not interested in the humans or their plight. They came for the Locust Horde, a relentless, monstrous force that had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction. To the Dark Blade Clan, the Locusts were the ultimate prey. The clan scouts observed the Locust from the shadows, analyzing their tactics, their ferocity, and their sheer numbers. The Horde was unlike anything the clan had encountered before, a seemingly endless tide of destruction, driven by an instinctual hunger for war. The predators saw the Locust as a worthy challenge, a foe that could push them to their limits. But they knew little of the Horde's hierarchy or its true nature. They did not know of the Locust Queen, the mastermind behind the Horde's relentless advance. To the clan, the Locusts were simply prey, a force to be hunted and conquered. With their interest piqued, the Dark Blade Clan descended to the surface of Sera. 5 elite warriors, each a master of combat and stealth, prepared to engage the Horde. They were not there to save humanity or to ally with the survivors. They were there to test themselves against the Locust, to prove their dominance in the face of overwhelming odds. But as they would soon discover, the Locust were far more than mindless beasts. They were a force of nature, a hive mind driven by a singular purpose, and the clan's arrogance would soon be tested. The Dark Blade Clan's mission began with a single objective: to hunt the Locust Horde and prove their superiority. Armed with advanced weaponry and clad in armor that shimmered like the void of space, the predators infiltrated the Hollow, the subterranean labyrinth that served as the Locust's stronghold. They moved silently, their movements precise and calculated, as they descended into the depths of the planet. The Hollow was a nightmarish realm, a sprawling network of tunnels and caverns filled with the stench of decay and the echoes of distant war drums. The clan encountered their first resistance almost immediately, a patrol of drones and Theran guards, armed to the teeth and ready for battle. The predators struck with brutal efficiency, their weapons cutting through the Locust with ease. Plasma blades hummed through the air, and wrist-mount cannons unleashed bursts of energy that tore through the enemy ranks. The Locust fell in droves, but the clan quickly realized that the Horde was far more numerous than they had anticipated. The Predators' descent into the Hollow reached its climax when they encountered a massive hive complex, a sprawling, pulsating labyrinth of tunnels and chambers that seemed alive. The walls glistened with a sickly, organic sheen, and the air was heavy with the acrid stench of decay. The clan moved with calculated precision, their advanced cloaking technology masking their presence. But the Locust were no ordinary prey. They were a hive mind, a relentless force driven by instinct and unity. The Predators, though masters of stealth and combat, were about to face an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. The battle erupted without warning, their plasma blades slicing through the ranks of drones and Theran guards with lethal precision. Wrist-mounted cannons unleashed bursts of serene energy, reducing Locust to ash. Yet, for every enemy that fell, 3 more surged forward, their guttural roars filling the cavern. The Horde was endless, a living tide of claws, teeth, and weapons that seemed to flow from the very walls. The Predators fought with unmatched ferocity, their movements a blur of deadly efficiency. But the sheer weight of the Locust numbers began to take its toll. As the conflict intensified, the Locust unveiled their heavier forces. Boomers lumbered into the fray, their grenade launchers raining explosive chaos. Berserkers charged with primal fury, their massive frames crashing through the Predator's defenses. Cantus priests chanted eerie hymns, their dark magic reviving fallen Locust and bolstering the Horde's morale. The Predators, though technologically superior and unmatched in skill, found themselves slowly being overwhelmed. Their armor, once pristine and imposing, was now cracked and scorched. Their weapons, though devastating, were not inexhaustible. The clan realized they were facing an enemy that could not be defeated through sheer force alone. Forced into a defensive stance, the Predators made the difficult decision to retreat. They fought their way back through the tunnels, their movements now desperate and hurried. The Locust pursued them relentlessly, their war cries echoing through the hollow like a haunting symphony of death. The Predators deployed every tool at their disposal, explosive traps, energy mines, and their cloaking technology to slow the Horde's advance. By the time they reached the surface, the clan was battered and bloodied, their once imposing presence now a shadow of its former glory. As they emerged into the dim light of Sera's surface, the Predators activated their cloaking devices, vanishing from sight. But their brutal assault had not gone unnoticed. Deep within the hollow, the Locust Queen, a towering, monstrous figure radiating an aura of absolute authority, had felt the disturbance. The Predator's incursion had drawn her attention, and she was intrigued. Here was a new enemy, one that had dared to invade her domain and challenge her horde. The Queen emerged from her hive, her elite palace guards and a swarm of wretches at her side. She began to navigate the tunnels, her mind focused on one goal: finding these mysterious invaders. The hunters had become the hunted. The Dark Blade clan regrouped on the surface, their cloaking devices shielding them from prying eyes. They were humbled but not defeated. The Locust Horde had proven to be a far greater challenge than they had anticipated. The Predators had come to Sera seeking a worthy adversary, and they had found one, but they had also awakened a sleeping giant. As the clan assessed their situation, they began to understand the true nature of their enemy. The Locust were not a disorganized swarm. They were a highly organized force, driven by a singular will, the Locust Queen. To defeat the Horde, the Predators would need more than just their weapons and skills. They would need to adapt, to study their enemy, and to exploit their weaknesses. The clan's initial arrogance had been replaced by a grim determination. They had underestimated the Locust, and it had nearly cost them everything. The Predators turned their gaze back to the hollow, their resolve stronger than ever. They had come to Sera seeking a challenge, and they had found one. But they would not leave until they had proven their dominance. The Dark Blade clan would return to the hollow, not as hunters, but as warriors. They would face the Locust Horde once more, and this time, they would not retreat. As the sun set over the desolate plains of Sera, the Predators prepared for their next mission. The Locust Queen had shown them the true nature of the Horde, and the Predators would not rest until she was defeated. The war for Sera was far from over, and the Dark Blade clan would be at the forefront of the battle, but the question remained: could the Predators survive the Locust Horde's vast army and their relentless queen? The hunters had become the hunted, and the stakes had never been higher. The stage was set for a deadly game of cat and mouse, with the fate of Sera hanging in the balance.